Howdy, it's Jim Arado, and this is December 2022. We're in West Baden Springs, Indiana, looking over at the West Baden Springs Hotel. And now we're looking at the very front, kind of where you drive in as you go onto the property. This is an incredible hotel, and check that out. It almost seems, I don't know, it seems like something that would belong more in some European country than in southern Indiana. It's so big and overwhelming, and it's just perfect. We went by here the other day. We did a day trip. We tried to get a room, but they were sold out. And we have stayed here a few times in the past, and we really love this hotel. This is easily one of my top 5 hotels that I've ever been to. It very possibly could be my number 1 hotel. Depends on what day you ask me, but as you can see, it is just mind-blowing how perfect it is. And they always decorate it up for Christmas, and I just thought I would put up a quick video. I know I've put up videos of it elsewhere in the past, but since we were here at Christmas time 2022 this year, I thought it definitely deserved another video. And this is their famous atrium, and they always put that big Christmas tree up at Christmas, and they decorate it for Christmas, and it is just great. And I know this almost sounds cliche, but photos, video, it doesn't do it justice. I'd seen pictures of it before I went the first time, but once you step into that atrium, I mean, it's kind of like the Grand Canyon. People say that about the Grand Canyon. You've got to be looking at it to truly appreciate it, and that's definitely true here with the atrium. We actually hadn't been here since before COVID, and they have they've spruced it up a little bit. Not that there was much to spruce up, but they've added this really cool museum. And I'm not going to bore you by reading the cards or the descriptions, but they've added this great museum, and I think they have a historian that comes and does a talk there a few times a week, if I read the sign correctly. Lots of pieces of the hotel's past. Oh, and there is some stage dynamite from the movie So Cold the River. And there's a couple of costumes from the movie So Cold the River. I have not seen that movie yet, but it was based on a book. And the hotel here was the setting for the book. Kind of a sci-fi horror. Yeah, kind of. When I read the book, it kind of reminded me of like a Freddy Krueger kind of thing, almost. And I really enjoyed the book. In fact, I read most of the book on my last visit here, and that was pretty cool. But they took the book, they made a movie, which was slowed down a bit, thanks to COVID. Thank you, COVID. But they finally finished that movie. I think it's available on streaming. But I don't watch a ton of movies anymore, but that's one I'll definitely watch in the near future. We have stayed here, I believe, 3 times in the past, and we've almost always been here around Christmas because, man, they just hit it out of the park at Christmas. Of course, if you come here, when it's not Christmas, you're going to have a great time too, and it's you'll have a great experience. Of course, the West Baden Springs Hotel is part of the French Lick Resorts property, I guess you would say, and its sister hotel, the French Lick Springs Hotel in French Lick, Indiana, is about a mile down the road. In fact, I'll put up another video of that hotel, and I'll put up a few more videos of things I like in town, and definitely of us driving through town. They do have a really cool trolley that goes back and forth between the 2 properties, and it's a very pleasant scenic ride to take, and I enjoy that quite a bit. And of course they have shuttles that go back and forth too. And as you can see, we're going through the hallway. You can see how it kind of curves around the atrium. I believe there's 7 floors. And there's a look inside their library. They have a very nice, relaxing library. here at the hotel. I've spent many hours there reading myself. Always nice and cozy. And then kind of here's a front entrance view. See those I guess you would call them the kind of half circular windows up there with the little angels in them. They were removed. They were stolen from the hotel while the hotel was sort of abandoned. And they found some of them at an antique shop in northern Kentucky. And then some of the others were reconstructed. But that's an interesting story. In fact, if you're here, they do a historic tour, and they tell you that story and others on that historic tour. And then there's kind of the little front lobby check-in area. You can see the atrium straight ahead. You walk straight ahead, and you'll be in the main atrium. And then, kind of around the front, they've got chairs and stuff for you to sit on. A little damage done to the hotel. I'm sure they'll fix that later. And here's some rails. If you look closely, there's those little squares. They're covered by metal plates because they have swastikas on them. And that is because when the hotel was built and those were put there, that was well before a certain German made that symbol offensive. And you'll actually see it in a lot of artwork, the pre-1930s. And there's a little railroad station where you can kind of catch the trolley and go over to the French Lick Springs Hotel. I wanted to mention another hotel I like, the Alex Johnson in South Dakota. They have incorporated swastikas in their tiles and patterns too, and they've not removed them. Yeah, and here's a fireplace in the hotel. It's very artistic. They'll tell you all about that on the tour also, but you saw how pretty it was. And actually now, if you started a fire in it, it would damage some of that artwork. They have a piano. They have live music in the evenings. And they're selling posters from that movie, So Cold the River. I think they're $20 each. They were big. I think they were double-sided. And yeah, I thought that was kind of neat. Yeah, another quick look at the atrium. This is just such a nice place to be. I would say if you were looking for a nice romantic weekend getaway, this would be a perfect place to come to and not really leave the hotel much. This hotel to me is just a very relaxing, pleasant environment. There's shops around and some nice restaurants. Of course, you can go over to the other hotel, the French Lick Springs Hotel. They have restaurants and shops too. I think the French Lick Springs Hotel, they have the casino. Yeah, it's a very nice hotel too, but this to me is just one of the nicest hotels on the planet. It's just always nice being here. I've read several books on this hotel. It's went through many. It was a hotel, then it was I think used kind of as a school, maybe a religious school. It's had different purposes, different uses. It was sort of left abandoned, and it was crumbling. In fact, there's some pictures on the walls showing, the hotel as it was about to die, really, back in, I want to say, the early 2000s. And they restored it, they rebuilt it, and as you can see, it is just flawless now. So I'm really glad that a group got together and put this thing back together, put it back on the map. And like I said, this particular weekend it was sold out, so I'm sure they're doing a pretty good business. And there's a look up directly at that atrium, or at the dome in the atrium. If you're here over Christmas, if you're staying the night, they have kind of a slow changing light pattern that's really, really spectacular. Anyway, this is us leaving the West Baden Springs Hotel in Indiana. I hope you enjoyed that. If you've stayed there, if you have any thoughts on it, let me know. I really, really, I look for an excuse to get here anytime I can. This is just a great, great place.